In the September 14th, 2020 episode of the Odd Job podcast, a man who calls himself Mystery was the guest. The Odd Job podcast is run by two wonderful young ladies, and they did a great job of interviewing Mystery. Mystery's real name is Erik von Markovik, and he is best known for his VH1 reality show, The Pickup Artist, as well as being the main source of inspiration for, and arguably the main character of, a popular pickup artist book named The Game by a man named Neil Strauss. Mystery now runs bootcamps and seminars teaching what he calls the Mystery Method, which is based on his lifelong expertise and experience in meeting women. In this week's episode, I'll take you through some of the problems with the Mystery Method.
Hey guys, Ashley here. Are you having trouble meeting the right girl? If so, I'd like to introduce you to The Gentleman's Guide to Flirting from David Sharp. This book is available on Amazon.com and has great information on every aspect of the process, starting from getting yourself ready, meaning having the right mindset and your goals and priorities straight. This book has loads of modern, field-tested, and ready-to-use examples to help you confidently approach and meet great women, either in person or online. It also has practical, real-world advice to help you truly get the most out of the dating process. And it has thoughtful, practical advice for cultivating and sustaining your relationships for the long term. It's got it all, and you're going to love it. The book's website is gentlemansguidetoflirting.com. That's gentlemansguidetoflirting.com. I know that you will feel that it is the best $20 you have ever spent in your life. So go to gentlemansguidetoflirting.com and click the Buy Now button, or search for Gentleman's Guide to Flirting by David Sharp on Amazon.com and start changing your life now.
Hello there. Welcome to episode 38 of the Gentleman's Guide to Flirting podcast. I am David, the author of the book of the same name, Gentleman's Guide to Flirting, now available on Amazon.com. This week I want to talk about a problem I came across recently that is relevant to our topics of flirting, dating, and meeting great women. Recently I came across something named the Odd Job podcast. Two fun, lovely, and engaging ladies named Jamie and Abby run the Odd Job podcast. What specifically brought their podcast to my attention was their September 14th, 2020 episode, which had a man who calls himself Mystery as the guest. Mystery's real name is Erik von Markovik, Markovik. He is best known for his VH1 reality show from several years ago named The Pickup Artist, as well as a popular pickup artist book named The Game by someone named Neil Strauss, Strauss. Mystery now runs boot camps and seminars teaching what he calls, quote-unquote, the Mystery Method. I don't know, nor have I ever met Mystery, but he seems to be a very intelligent, charming, handsome, and charismatic person. I am sure it is a delight to meet him. The reason why I'm talking about him is that I have several problems with how the Mystery Method was described as working in this podcast. My problem isn't with Mystery the person. The standard that I use for folks is if I think I would like them if we were shooting the breeze, just having a conversation in my kitchen, and I think the answer for Mystery would be a firm yes. I'd like the guy. My problem is with the bad information he is giving out in the Mystery Method content, or at least how he described it on the Odd Job podcast episode from September of 2020. For those that might consider the Mystery Method a standard of some sort for meeting or picking up women, I want you to know there are some major problems with that standard. Now, Mystery is very entertaining, and I'm sure the people who attend his seminars have a good time, but I think there are some serious problems with what he is teaching. I would like to point out some of those issues and offer my own perspective on each one. Now, I want to be careful not to misrepresent what Mystery means by each of his concepts, so in places I will play brief excerpts from his interview from the Odd Job podcast and then provide my own commentary. Okay, so let's dive in. The first portion that I had a problem with is this. Have a listen.
The pickup arts is a performing art. It's a performance. The pickup artist, and now every man is a pickup artist at some point in his life, if he is in fact a man. He will turn it on when needed and turn it off when not. But every man has to have a pickup artist inside him at some point.
I comprehensively disagree with the notion that your approach and your interaction with a woman should be an act. Although you might go for some funny, surprise, shock and awe opening lines for an introduction or to get her attention, you need to act like a normal human being for the best results. Mystery's background is he is a performer, a magician by trade, so that might explain his views a bit. But when you are interacting with a woman, please don't consider the best way to do that is the crisp delivery of memorized lines or stories. You don't need to put yourself under that much pressure. Plus, she is likely to go off script on you, and then what are you going to do? Keep reciting your memorized lines and stories when it doesn't make sense anymore? It is better to act and speak like a normal person with her. Don't get me wrong, you need to be prepared and have a plan, but you certainly aren't putting on a performance. Many ladies will see right through that. As for his point about turning on and off a performance, the approach in the A Gentleman's Guide to Flirting book is 1,000,000,000 times better. It calls for you to be the same great, yet continuously improving man at all times, and let women and everyone else feel your natural confidence and positive energy. There is no need to act interesting and fun and great when you are interesting and fun and great 24/7. Number 2.
Many of the gambits or game pieces in magic, we'll call them tricks. I don't like that word. I prefer effects. But in the same way that there is an effect that you can perform, in pickup, there is a gambit that you can perform.
Okay.
The word gambit means, quote, a device, action, or opening remark, typically one entailing a degree of risk that is calculated to gain an advantage. In Mystery's method, gambits include openers and other conversation devices and ways of acting that you stitch together in such a way that women will want to have sex with you. I think that way of describing his approach, and that was Mystery speaking, not me, is what causes some to call his method sleazy and or formulaic. If it is clear you're aiming straight for sex with her, she will see that. She'll see right through it. It is better to approach prepared, sure, but with good intentions and in a way that isn't creepy, that is honest, and that she will find fun. For in-person approaches like what Mystery is talking about here, we have everything you need in parts 1 and 2 of the book around being prepared and having the right mindset. All right, number 3.
I have had the good fortune of having gone out with some of the best pickup artists in the world, around the world. One of the commonalities that they all share is they all have a great sense of humor. The women that hang out with these wonderful men are laughing their way all the way into bed.
Calling going out with others to meet women having gamed is an interesting way of putting it. I'm not sure calling that, quote, gamed builds trust with the ladies. Mystery is 100% right about the importance of a sense of humor and getting the ladies to laugh. However, he ends with, quote, laughing their way all the way into bed, and that just sounds shallow. Number 4.
You know what the game is, by the way? 12 sets per night. If you decide I'm going to interact with 12 groups of people tonight, that's game. That's a gaming night.
That is how Mystery defines his process, or the location for his process, meeting multiple groups of people per night. That tells me his scope is limited to bars and nightclubs, which is severely limiting. I don't think his process is tuned for most everyday situations guys find themselves in, like the grocery store, the gym, being out and about in your community. Your flirting zone, for lack of a better term, where you meet women, should be pretty much everywhere and not so limited. Not every woman wants to go to a bar or nightclub. Mystery is completely mistaken on this point. Number 5.
This is topically relevant. With us being in quarantine right now, how do you feel about online dating?
Yeah, what is your view? Obviously, there's been sort of over the last decade, a huge surge in like apps and like online dating and Tinder and all these things. How do what is your view on those and how they fit into this sort of ecosystem where you have established this method that has worked well for you and so many of your students?
I'm old school. I think meeting in real life is the real way. And women believe that too, because they're out. They go out. Right. Otherwise, stay home. So you're only meeting the girls who believe that going out is to live. Now, I have picked up a girl once on Tinder.
Ooh, just the once?
Ooh.
It turned into a two-year relationship.
Wow.
Oh, okay.
So, is it possible? Certainly it's possible. And she was a very attractive young lady. It's possible. But I also call it mental masturbation, especially now more than ever. All these guys are mentally masturbating, swiping pictures, even getting a little chat happening, maybe even getting a first date, never to get a second date because they didn't develop their social skills and their skill sets. So they're getting lots of first dates is the complaints that I'm hearing.
Yeah.
Lots of first dates. And that means utter failure.
Mystery's response here shows his approach is missing a huge component. Sadly, for him, his business, and his students, I don't think Mystery is making an effort to keep his content up to date. He needs coverage for online dating and dating apps because a large percentage of people are meeting that way these days. I get the impression that Mystery hasn't taken care to make sure that his method remains contemporary, and he is hurting his seminar attendees and students by telling them to ignore online dating and dating apps. For example, if a guy lives in a remote area with a few single women around, Mystery recommends, in another part of the podcast, getting an Airbnb in a major city for the weekend so that you can attend, wait for it, bars and nightclubs. I think online dating is something every guy should consider. I do agree that meeting in person is much better and make that point repeatedly in the book. But you can use online dating to find a great lady to arrange that meeting in person. Why shut out the millions of women that use online dating as their primary way to find a man? Online dating isn't easy, and there are a lot of ways to fail at it. We have fully modern and complete coverage for the online dating world in part 3 of the Gentleman's Guide to Flirting book. If you are having trouble with online dating, I have made a lot of effort to ensure that the book will help. Number 6.
What are the best places then to meet women? Like there has to be some clubs or some bars that are different than others that are just better to meet women.
Well, location is everything. You have to, if you're going to become a world-class pickup artist, if that is your desire, you want to become great at this game, you're going to have to travel. You're going to have to go to the places where women of beauty exist. New York City is one of them, no doubt.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yes it is.
But there's also places like the Ukraine, Odessa, Kiev, Moscow, St. Petersburg, Helsinki. These are the places that we go to because the women are particularly beautiful in such numbers that it has to be seen to be believed.
What, in your view, is the most, like, the highest target-rich city in the world?
Yeah, like where are the hotties?
Moscow, Kiev, Odessa. Those are the 3 top places.
My first problem with this portion of the interview is you don't need to travel to Kiev or Odessa in the Ukraine or Moscow or other major cities in Russia to meet beautiful women. Period. You don't need to travel to New York or Los Angeles in the US either. My second problem is that Mystery seems to be hyper-focused on a woman's appearance. In my opinion, traveling to Ukraine or Russia to meet women to the exclusion of your home location or country is bonkers. Don't get me wrong, I love traveling. Don't get me wrong, I too don't understand why such a high percentage of women in Kiev and Odessa and the Ukraine are so stunningly beautiful. But you are certainly messing up if you skip considering basic chemistry with a woman and if you focus on a woman's appearance without considering what type of person she truly needs to be at her core for you to be happy. Unless I am mistaken in what I heard in this podcast, the mystery method says look for the hottest 10s you can find on the planet, and then when you find one you like and she likes you, use, and I'm not making this part up, a marriage counselor to sort out the rest. That is not good advice. There are a lot of guys who are miserable today because they got hung up on a woman's appearance without first figuring out what type of person she really is, and if the two of them were compatible enough to be happy long term. Part 1 of the Gentleman's Guide to Flirting book goes into great detail on how to think about a woman's beauty alongside considerations around lasting compatibility. I get it. Mystery's argument is appealing on the surface, but it does not work in practice if you want to maximize your chances of being happy with someone. I want to close by saying again that my criticisms are about Mystery's content and not the man himself. I imagine he is a very fun and interesting person. If he wants to continue teaching his students, I would strongly recommend he addresses some of the issues that we went over here. I also want to say that just because I didn't point out something in this podcast about the mystery method, that it means I agree with it. I don't. The more I learned about his methods, the more problems I had with it, but it isn't all bad. For example, Mystery does emphasize being respectful to the ladies throughout the entire process, which is good. But again, I am sure his seminar and bootcamp attendees have fun despite the myriad problems with the content itself. Anyway, that's all I have for this week, and I hope that helped. Let's get to work.